In the vast expanse of the galaxy lie worlds shaped by forces both natural and unnatural, each with a history as unique as the stars they orbit. From burning wastelands to frozen voids, these planets are home to legends, horrors, and the warriors of the Imperium. Baal, homeworld of the Blood Angels. Orbiting a dying sun, the planet of Baal is a world ravaged by nuclear devastation. Once a place of relative beauty, Baal and its moons, Baal Primus and Baal Secundus, were devastated by ancient nuclear wars. Now they are barren wastelands of irradiated deserts, toxic winds, and ash-choked plains. Despite this desolation, Baal remains the cradle of one of the Imperium's most revered space marine chapters, the Blood Angels. Atop a mountain range overlooking the wastelands stands the Arks Angelicum, the Blood Angels' fortress monastery. From this stronghold, the chapter watches over the survivors of Baal's shattered civilization, descendants of those who endured the planet's nuclear cataclysm. These survivors, though many are mutated by radiation exposure, are selected to undergo brutal trials in hopes of being transformed into the noble warriors of the Blood Angels. Baal's history is deeply intertwined with the legacy of its primarch, Sanguinius. When Sanguinius was discovered on Baal, he found a planet ravaged by mutant predators and radioactive wastelands. Through his leadership and superhuman strength, Sanguinius united the surviving tribes, leading them to victory against the mutants and establishing the foundation of the Blood Angels chapter. His presence was a beacon of hope to the people of Baal, and his legend lives on within the chapter to this day. However, the Blood Angels are haunted by a dark curse, the Red Thirst and Black Rage. The Red Thirst gnaws at their very souls, driving them to an uncontrollable thirst for blood in battle. The Black Rage is even more insidious, causing those afflicted to relive Sanguinius's final moments during the Siege of Terror, filling them with berserk fury. These twin curses plague the Blood Angels, threatening to turn them into the very monsters they fight. In more recent times, Baal faced near total annihilation during the devastation of Baal, when the Tyrannid Hive Fleet Leviathan launched a full-scale invasion. The Blood Angels, alongside their successor chapters, fought valiantly to defend their homeworld, but were pushed to the brink of extinction. At the moment when all seemed lost, the arrival of Ultra Indomitus Crusade turned the tide, saving the chapter from destruction. Yet, the battle left deep scars on Baal and its moons, with the planet forever marked by the Tyrannid invasion and the ensuing warp rift that tore through the system. In the furthest reaches of the Imperium lies a world defined by tragedy and redemption, Krieg, a name whispered with both reverence and fear. To the uninitiated, it is a planet where no life should exist, its surface ravaged by nuclear fire, choked by radiation storms, and plunged into eternal dusk. But Krieg is no ordinary world, and its people are no ordinary warriors. Here, beneath the desolate surface, in fortified bunkers and irradiated trenches, a fanatical devotion to the Emperor has been cultivated for millennia. Krieg was once a prosperous and loyal world of the Imperium. Rich in resources and wealth, it stood as a key planet within its sector, a jewel in the Emperor's ever-expanding realm. But as with many worlds, prosperity sowed the seeds of discontent. Over time, the ruling aristocracy of Krieg, led by the corrupt High Autocrat, sought greater independence from the distant Terror, and in a bold act of treason, they declared open rebellion. This civil war would be unlike any the Imperium had seen, for Krieg's rulers did not just defy the Emperor, they sought to sever all ties, seeking dominion over their own empire. Yet not all of Krieg's people were willing to betray the Imperium. Governor Dirchius, a steadfast loyalist, initiated the most devastating action in Krieg's history. He ordered a series of nuclear strikes on his own planet. The rebellious cities and strongholds were consumed by atomic fire, and Krieg's surface was reduced to a radioactive wasteland. What followed was a century-long war of attrition as the survivors of both factions fought amidst the ruins. The death toll was unimaginable, Cities were leveled, ecosystems obliterated, and vast stretches of the planet became uninhabitable. But the rebellion was eventually crushed, and Krieg was brought back under Imperial rule, though at a great cost. What emerged from the ashes was a world forever changed, a planet where survival meant more than life, where loyalty to the Emperor was the only law, and where the people dedicated themselves to redeeming their collective sin through eternal warfare. Life on Krieg is unlike any other world in the Imperium. After the rebellion, the surviving population retreated underground, living in vast bunker complexes to shield themselves from the irradiated surface. Generations were raised in these subterranean cities, with every citizen born into a life of duty, sacrifice, and penance. The nuclear devastation created a society in which the Emperor's will was absolute, and redemption could only be achieved through service in the Imperial Guard. Krieg's society is militarized to the core. From birth, each individual is trained for war. The Death Korps of Krieg, as they would come to be known, is not just a military force, it is the very fabric of the planet's identity. The people of Krieg are raised with the belief that they owe a debt to the Emperor, a debt that can only be repaid through unflinching sacrifice on the battlefield. To die in service to the Emperor is considered the highest honor, and the people of Krieg embrace this fate with a grim determination. Their training is relentless, their discipline unparalleled. Death Korps soldiers are known for their cold, emotionless demeanor, marching into the most horrific battles with a quiet, almost mechanical resolve. Where other regiments might fear the prospect of annihilation, the soldiers of Krieg welcome it. To them, death is not a failure, but a means to fulfill their sacred duty. This mindset makes the Death Korps one of the most feared and respected forces in the Imperial Guard. Krieg's military doctrine reflects the brutal environment from which its soldiers emerge. The Death Korps are experts in siege warfare, trench combat, and attrition. Having been forged in the crucible of their own planet's century-long civil war, they excel in long, grinding conflicts that would break other forces. Their ability to endure seemingly endless campaigns, often under the harshest conditions, makes them invaluable to the Imperium, in wars where victory is measured not in swift battles, but in drawn-out sieges and blood-soaked trenches. The Death Korps are equipped with the standard tools of the Imperial Guard, but their true strength lies in their unbreakable will. Whether facing waves of enemy forces, entrenched positions, or overwhelming odds, the soldiers of Krieg fight with a singular purpose: to die in service to the Emperor. This mindset has led to some of the most iconic victories in the Imperium's history, where the Death Korps have held the line or pushed through impossible defenses. One of the most notable examples is the Siege of Vrax, a grueling 17-year conflict on a heavily fortified world. The Death Korps were sent to reclaim the planet from traitorous forces, and their relentless assault, combined with their expertise in trench warfare, eventually led to victory. The cost was staggering. Millions of Krieg soldiers perished, but in the end, the Imperium triumphed, and the Death Korps' reputation for suicidal determination was cemented. Krieg remains a planet defined by its past, but its future is always tied to war. The people of Krieg see themselves as living instruments of the Emperor's will, their sole purpose to fight and die in his name. This bleak existence is embraced with a stoic pride, and it is this unyielding loyalty that makes Krieg a critical asset to the Imperium. The Death Korps are often deployed to the most brutal war zones, specializing in conflicts where attrition is the only path to victory. Their willingness to sacrifice everything for the Emperor's cause makes them both feared and respected by allies and enemies alike. On Krieg, there is no victory that comes without sacrifice, no life that is lived without duty, and no death that is without purpose. In the Segmentum Solar, near the heart of the Imperium, lies the heavily industrialized world of Armageddon. A planet of monumental importance to the Imperium's war machine, its surface is dominated by massive hive cities, sprawling manufactorums, and toxic wastelands. Armageddon has become infamous across the galaxy, not for its industry, but for the titanic wars that have been fought upon its surface, conflicts so vast that they have left permanent scars on the planet and the psyche of its people. Armageddon has seen three of the greatest wars in Imperial history, with millions of soldiers, thousands of tanks, and even titans clashing in apocalyptic battles. These wars have not only shaped the fate of the planet, but have become legends throughout the Imperium, drawing attention to both the ferocity of the defenders and the overwhelming power of their enemies. Long before these wars, Armageddon was already a planet of great significance. Its hive cities housed billions of workers who toiled endlessly in the forges and manufactorums, producing the weapons, vehicles, and ammunition that fed the Imperium's endless war efforts. The pollution generated by centuries of unchecked industrial activity had rendered much of the planet's surface toxic, creating vast zones of irradiated wasteland where no human could survive. The majority of the population was confined to towering hive cities, heavily fortified to withstand the harsh conditions outside and the ever-present threat of invasion. The most infamous event in the planet's history was the series of conflicts known as the Armageddon Wars. The first of these wars came not from Xenos, but from within the Imperium itself. The first war for Armageddon was sparked by Angron, the demon primarch of the World Eaters, and his horde of Chaos Space Marines. Angron sought to claim the planet for chaos, leading an invasion force that devastated large swathes of Armageddon's surface. The Imperial response was swift, but the war left the planet scarred and vulnerable, with entire cities reduced to rubble. Though the forces of chaos were eventually driven off, the people of Armageddon would never forget the horror of facing the wrath of a Primarch. However, it was the Orks who would forever tie Armageddon's fate to war. The Second and Third Wars for Armageddon, both led by the infamous Ork warlord Ghazghkull Thraka, are among the largest and most destructive campaigns in the history of the Imperium. Ghazghkull, one of the most powerful Ork warlords ever to rise in the galaxy, aiming to claim the planet as a stepping stone for further conquests. The sheer scale of the Ork invasion was unprecedented. Entire armies of greenskins descended upon the planet, overwhelming defenses and threatening to obliterate everything in their path. Armageddon's defenders, however, were not without hope. Commissar Yarrick, a man whose name has since become synonymous with defiance, took command of the planet's defense. Yarrick had fought Ghazghkull before and knew the terror and destruction the Orks could bring. His leadership, combined with the aid of several Space Marine chapters, including the Salamanders, Black Templars, and Steel Legion, turned the tide of the war. The conflict was fierce, with hive cities falling and being reclaimed in brutal urban warfare, but ultimately the Orks were repelled, though at a staggering cost in lives and resources. The Third War for Armageddon saw Ghazghkull return with an even larger force. Once again, Yarrick and the defenders of the Imperium stood against the greenskin horde. This war was an even more apocalyptic affair, as hive cities became battlegrounds and titans strode the plains of Armageddon, crushing Orks beneath their massive feet. Despite the efforts of the Imperial Guard, Space Marines, and countless other forces, the Orks were only barely driven back, and the war left Armageddon in ruins. To this day, pockets of Orks remain on the planet, engaging in constant skirmishes with Imperial forces. The war for Armageddon is far from over. The planet remains in a state of constant alert, with war production continuing at full capacity. The scars left by the wars are still visible on its surface, with entire regions turned into barren wastelands and many of the hive cities still in ruins. Armageddon's people have become hardened by the constant threat of invasion, their lives defined by the ever-present specter of war. The planet's strategic importance to the Imperium cannot be overstated. As a major industrial hub, Armageddon produces a significant portion of the weapons and vehicles used by the Imperial Guard, making it a prime target for the enemies of the Imperium. Its vast manufactorums and forges churn out the tools of war, ensuring that the Imperium's armies are never without the means to fight. This production, combined with the planet's history of warfare, has made Armageddon a symbol of the Imperium's resilience, an unbreakable bastion in the face of overwhelming odds. Armageddon's future remains uncertain, The Orks, ever eager for a fight, continue to launch raids on the planet, and the threat of a fourth war looms large. Gaz-Kul Thraka, though defeated, is not dead, and his return is all but guaranteed. The people of Armageddon know that peace is fleeting, and they remain ever vigilant, ready to take up arms at a moment's notice. The name Armageddon will forever be synonymous with war, and its people, scarred by conflict, will continue to defend their world until the day comes when there is no more war to be fought. Another planet within the segmentum solar is Necromunda, a hive world of unimaginable scale, home to trillions of souls stacked within towering hive cities that reach far above the planet's toxic surface. This industrial powerhouse is essential to the Imperium's war effort, providing vast quantities of weapons, ammunition, and resources. However, beneath the surface of this industrious world lies a society defined by cruelty, corruption, and conflict. Necromunda is a place where life is cheap, and survival often depends on brute strength, cunning, or allegiance to one of the countless gangs that control the lawless underhives. Life on Necromunda is divided into starkly contrasting realities. The elite, residing in the uppermost spires of the hive cities, live in relative luxury, removed from the misery below. These nobles, often from powerful ruling houses, control the planet's wealth and industry, ensuring their dominance over the hive cities. Their interests are maintained by armies of enforcers, mercenaries, and, when needed, underhive gangs who they manipulate from afar. But it is in the underhive, far below the glittering towers, where the true heart of Necromunda beats. Here, the air is thick with the stench of decay, and every corner is a battleground for survival. Necromunda's underhive is a brutal, sprawling labyrinth of collapsed infrastructure, pollution, and ruin. It is a place where gang warfare is the rule of law, and where alliances shift as quickly as fortunes rise and fall. The gangs of the underhive are not only a constant source of violence and conflict, but they also serve as a vital part of the planet's economy and power structure. These gangs are often hired by noble houses to settle disputes, smuggle goods, or eliminate rivals, creating a dark web of intrigue that ties the upper spires to the very depths of the underhive. The gangs of Necromunda are as varied as they are deadly. Among the most infamous are House Goliath, a gang of muscle-bound enforcers known for their brute strength and love of violence. Their members are hulking giants, often chemically enhanced to achieve their enormous size and power. In contrast, House Escher is composed entirely of women, renowned for their speed, agility, and deadly expertise with chemical weapons. They are cunning, ruthless, and often underestimated by their enemies until it's too late. House Orlok, by contrast, is a gang of miners and industrial workers, hardened by years of labor in the planet's vast forges. Known for their endurance and proficiency with firearms, Orlok gangs are as relentless as the machinery they operate. The other prominent gangs include House Van Saar, known for their mastery of advanced technology, House Delac, who specialize in espionage and assassination, and House Cawdor, religious fanatics who use their belief in the Emperor to justify their brutal methods. Each of these gangs fights for control of resources, territory, and prestige within the underhive, leading to a constant state of warfare that ensures no gang can hold power for long without bloodshed. But life in the underhive is not solely about the pursuit of power. For many, it is a desperate struggle to survive in a world that has long since forgotten them. The air is poisoned, food is scarce, and clean water is a commodity as valuable as gold. In the depths of the underhive, mutation and disease run rampant, and the weak are often preyed upon by their stronger, more ruthless neighbors. In this environment, joining a gang is often the only means of protection, as gang membership can provide access to resources, weapons, and allies in a world where trust is a rare commodity. Above the underhive, in the towering heights of Hive Primus, lies the seat of power for Necromunda's ruling class. House Helmauer has controlled the planet for millennia, ruling with an iron grip over the hives and the endless industrial production that keeps the Imperium's war machine supplied. Lord Helmar, the current ruler, maintains control through a delicate balance of political intrigue, manipulation of the gangs, and enforcement of harsh laws on the lower classes. The noble houses beneath House Helmar vie for influence and control, often using underhive gangs as pawns in their deadly games of power. Necromunda's economy revolves around its vast industrial output. The planet's manufacturers produce weapons, vehicles, armor, and munitions on a scale that few other worlds can match. The hive cities are littered with vast industrial zones where workers toil day and night in dangerous, toxic conditions. Mining operations extract valuable minerals and metals from the planet's crust, while forges and assembly lines churn out the tools of war that are shipped across the galaxy to feed the endless conflict that sustains the Imperium. However, the cost of this industrialization is staggering. The planet's atmosphere is so polluted that the surface is largely uninhabitable, and the environmental degradation has left Necromunda's landscapes a wasteland of toxins and ash. Despite its grim realities, Necromunda holds a special place in the Imperium. The planet's harsh environment and constant conflict make it an ideal recruiting ground for the Imperial Fists chapter of Space Marines. Many of the Imperial Fist's finest warriors have been drawn from the underhive gangs of Necromunda, where only the toughest and most resilient individuals survive. The process of surviving the gang wars and the deadly conditions of the underhive ensures that recruits from Necromunda are among the most hardened and battle-ready in the galaxy. The Imperial Fists maintain a fortress monastery on the planet, and their presence serves as a reminder of Necromunda's significance to the Imperium's military forces. The people of Necromunda, particularly those from the underhive, are well aware of the honor associated with serving in the Emperor's armies, and many see it as the only way to escape the endless cycle of violence and poverty that defines life in the lower levels of the hive cities. Despite the planet's reputation for lawlessness, Necromunda remains a crucial asset to the Imperium. Its output of weapons, munitions, and resources is vital to the ongoing wars across the galaxy, and the planet's population provides a near-inexhaustible source of labor and soldiers. But as long as the gangs continue to fight for dominance in the underhive, and the noble houses scheme for control in the upper spires, Necromunda will remain a world where survival is not guaranteed, and where power is held by those ruthless enough to take it. On the fringes of the Imperium lies a world so hostile, so deadly, that even the most battle-hardened soldiers of the galaxy approach it with caution. Catachan is classified as a death world, a term reserved for planets where survival itself is a constant battle. Unlike many death worlds where environmental conditions such as extreme heat or radiation pose the primary threat, Catachan is defined by its lethal ecosystem. Its dense jungles teem with carnivorous plants, venomous creatures, and predatory beasts, all of which are just as dangerous, if not more so, than any Xenos threat. The jungle-covered surface of Catachan is one of the most dangerous environments in the galaxy. Here, every creature is a predator, and the very plants are capable of hunting down and consuming a human with terrifying efficiency. The planet's biosphere is hyper-aggressive, a nightmare landscape where evolution has produced an ecosystem that thrives on violence and survival of the fittest. The human inhabitants of Catachan, as a result, are some of the toughest, most resilient individuals in the Imperium, and it is from this brutal environment that the famed Catachan jungle fighters emerge. Catachans are often regarded as giants among men. The planet's gravity is slightly heavier than Terra's, and the physical demands of surviving the planet's jungle make its people stronger and more physically imposing than average humans. Life on Catachan is unforgiving from the moment of birth. Children are raised in the wild, learning from an early age to identify threats, hunt, and survive. Death is a constant companion in the jungles, and the weak rarely live to adulthood. Those who do survive grow up to become some of the deadliest soldiers in the galaxy, tempered by an environment that kills without mercy. The Catachan jungle fighters, also known as Catachans or Catachan devils, are the elite soldiers of the Astra Militarum, the Imperium's vast army. These men and women are masters of jungle warfare, ambush tactics, and guerrilla combat. Their training begins at birth, as life on Catachan itself is a constant exercise in military discipline. The planet's inhabitants are natural-born fighters, raised in a world where anything less than constant vigilance means certain death. Catachan's expertise in stealth, reconnaissance, and close-quarters combat make them invaluable in any theater of war that involves dense, difficult terrain. The Catachan jungle fighters are renowned for their ability to operate independently. Unlike other regiments that rely on strict command structures and regulations, Catachans thrive in chaotic environments. Their disdain for excessive discipline and bureaucracy often puts them at odds with more rigid Imperial officers, but their results in battle are undeniable. Catachan regiments are deployed in some of the most inhospitable war zones in the galaxy, and they consistently succeed where others would fail. Their adaptability and willingness to take extreme risks make them invaluable to the Imperium's military efforts. The culture of Catachan reflects the harshness of the planet itself. Strength, resilience, and survival are the cornerstones of Catachan society. Unlike many Imperial worlds, where nobility and wealth dictate social order, Catachan society values practical skills and the ability to survive. Catachans have little patience for weakness or luxury. Their settlements are small, often centered around fortifications designed to keep the jungle's predators at bay. Every citizen is a fighter, and every day is a test of endurance against a world that seeks to kill them. Catachan's flora and fauna are the stuff of legend throughout the Imperium. The Catachan devil, a massive centipede-like creature, is one of the most feared predators on the planet. Fully grown, a Catachan devil can reach several meters in length, with razor-sharp mandibles capable of tearing through armor. These creatures are highly aggressive and will hunt anything that enters their territory, including humans. Despite the danger, hunting a Catachan devil is considered a rite of passage for many of the planet's inhabitants, proving their worth and survival skills. Beyond the Catachan devil, the jungle is filled with countless other deadly creatures. The brain leaf, a parasitic plant, is known to take control of its victims by embedding its tendrils into their nervous systems, effectively turning them into mindless puppets. The spine leaf plant fires poisonous quills at anything that comes too close, while the mantrap is capable of snapping shut on any creature that wanders into its range, crushing it with lethal force. Even the air on Catachan is dangerous. Some parts of the jungle are filled with toxic spores that can choke a human within seconds. Amidst the constant threat of predatory wildlife, Catachan's people have developed a warrior culture that emphasizes independence, toughness, and loyalty to their comrades. Catachan commanders, such as the legendary Colonel Iron Hand Straken, are respected not just for their rank, but for their ability to lead by example. Straken, a Catachan hero, is famous for his bionic arm, which he acquired after a vicious battle with a Catachan devil. His leadership is based on action rather than words, and he commands his troops through sheer force of will and personal strength, an approach common among Catachan officers. The Catachan's reputation for toughness extends far beyond their home planet. In countless war zones across the galaxy, the Catachan jungle fighters have earned a fearsome reputation for their ability to endure and triumph in the most hostile environments. They are often deployed to death worlds, jungles, and other locations where traditional Imperial forces would struggle. Their ability to adapt to difficult terrain and launch surprise attacks from the cover of dense vegetation makes them one of the most versatile and effective regiments in the Astra Militarum. Despite their rugged and often rebellious nature, Catachans are fiercely loyal to the Emperor and the Imperium. They understand the value of strength and unity in the face of the galaxy's many threats. While they may chafe under overly strict or incompetent leadership, Catachans are motivated by a deep sense of duty to their comrades and their regiment. In battle, they fight with unmatched ferocity, taking on foes that would break lesser soldiers. They are known to thrive in situations where the odds are against them, using the environment to their advantage and relying on their instincts and combat experience to survive. Whether hunting predators in the dense jungles of their home or facing down Xenos threats on alien worlds, the Catachans remain some of the most formidable warriors in the Imperium. Their loyalty to one another, their incredible resilience, and their mastery of guerrilla warfare have cemented their place in Imperial history as the elite of the Astra Militarum. If you enjoyed this dive into the deadliest corners of Warhammer 40k, make sure to subscribe for more deep explorations into the grimdark universe. Let us know in the comments which planet you'd like to see us cover next, and don't forget to hit the like button if you're ready for the next leg of our journey. Until then, remember, in the Imperium, survival is only the beginning.